Welcome everyone in the next session of transportation policy and strategic planning. This is lecture number two. I hope that you guys enjoyed the lecture number one. If you have any question, you can get back in the comment section. In that specific section, we will try to understand the different transportation policies and how we can design the project. Okay, I will give you the one case study of the Trans-European network as well. We will try to understand that what different elements we actually needed to design any project. So the common transport policy aims to achieve any sufficient mobility, which should be enough to fulfill the needs which can be created by different economic growth as well as the sustainability. So the development should not limit the future mobility of the people and goods. However, the transportation policies and different ways and tools are implemented so that the transportation policy is still mostly within certain limitation where as a planner we should provide its input and also the each and every project should have the capability to enhance it with passage of time to fulfill the people needs and demand. Uh, Very important parameters before to go in details that what is transport, what is mobility and what is space. So space for mobility and transport. If we don't have a space, we cannot provide any way of mobility. Way of mobility means we cannot build streets. We cannot even build the cycle track. We cannot even build the roadways or even the tramways. Okay, so it is very important to look if the space is available or not. If we have a space, we can provide different transportation in which is linked with the mobility. So it is very much important to understand that the how we can measure and tools while design the assessment of network infrastructure and how the space of transport and traffic could be analyzed. So we analyze that specific model where we usually provide different relation between what kind of a needs do we have or like requirement, the existing modes, priority modes, network structure, and then special planning within neighborhood. And then we can forecast the demand of mobility at local, within region, and within any megacity. As you can see here, whenever we have the word policy and design, here we are trying to achieve the integration. So that should, when we are trying to understand mobility, moving means we need space, we need transport, and plus we also need the willingness of the people as well. So our model or policy should incorporate technically, spatial integration, temporal, organizational, methodology, and political will as well. Okay. So technical integration, so that should fulfill like bifold, bicycle, and it should also provide to each and everyone. And that should be under the EIA as well. And when we try to understand spatial, so that means that we need to understand CBD, Central Business District Area, integrated planning, and it should also provide the way the facilitation to the neighborhood within city, within region as well. And when we try to understand temporal, at what second it will operate, what minute, what hour, what week, what month, what year. And when we try to understand the organizational, so like structural competence, agreement, cooperation, and then different management and so on. So this is a concept where we are trying uh, to provide the concept, the dimension in the evaluation of how we can achieve the resilient transportation network and infrastructure. Okay. For what purpose? The purpose should always be to create livable places and cities. This is only concept to understand the different context of the city and institutional territories. As you can see here, the that specific model that only exists within its city, and this is the territorial level, means institutional framework. Its boundaries are exceeding in the four ways. So it can go. So that one is related to the regional, okay, like to the regional, and that one is related to the municipalities, which have the closed boundary. That one have closed boundary, and that one is open. That can work across the border. So through that specific model, we can work for any city, region, state, and country. But that one is only related to the specific administration. Where, for example, if we have another administration here, so that part is not affecting on that one, and that one should not affecting on that one. Its limit. This is its limit. Okay, this is their boundary wall. We have different type of a special planning. So if we try to understand the operation level, and then the different. So at the operation level, we have at the top always the federal government. At the federal, we have the state planning authorities, and then we have communities, and then we have total area of those communities, and different sects, religion, cost, and so on of all those communities. But when we try to understand planning, so at the planning, we always have the, of course, federal is always here because it's a state supreme authority. Under that, we have the special planning, and then we have regional planning, and then we have communal planning, and then we have land use planning. Okay. To assess any project, we need the three parameters. Okay. The first one is cost benefit analysis. The cost benefit analysis is actually the sum of the potential rewards or benefit expecting from any project when we are trying to invest. So when we, so for example, if it's total X amount X is spent on it, when we return its expenses, so how much revenue we can earn. This is basically cost benefit analysis. And then we have the special impact analysis. Special impact analysis is basically a tool which is applied in many engineering as well as in the social sector, sectoral project, which deal with the kind of a special arrangement where we are trying to focus on living area, working area, and environmental condition at the different range. So where we are trying to examine the different effect of those projects within any city, community, or region. And then when we try to understand, of course, we are trying to aim that how we can reduce the negative impact of the emission, any project, road, railway, airport, power plant, etc. So how we can reduce those effects on the environment. This is a specific case study of the Trans-European network. So here you can see here we have the methodology, which is a geographical core network, which is trying to focus on the different network, intermodal connection, and so on. And we are trying to enhance the network capacity. So first of all, what kind of question we need to understand? This is just a one case study so that in future, if I give you assignment or task, so I hope that each and everyone will be able to provide that type of a solution to their problem. The first identification or like bottlenecks, we need to understand that what is the existing infra capacity and what are the missing links, and then how the intermodal different connections could be connected with each other. What will be the environmental and climate change, and then how it can provide the technical and minimum capacity in terms of requirement. So what we want to achieve from that, we need the kind of a multi-criteria approach which should combine the quantitative and qualitative different type of element on the basis of transparency and coherent network design. So this is the purpose of that specific case study. When we are trying to understand the different criteria, when we are trying to understand the strategic level, which should include the multimodality, inter operation of different modes together, how the system can provide safe and secure transport infrastructure, and how its attention from the climate change to the infrastructure could be changed, and how we can adopt intelligent transportation system within our project. And the criteria we would like to select for those for or that specific project, we need to understand geographical aspects. We also should consider internal and external uh, trade flows, and we also need to understand the potential future demand, existing demand, and we also need to focus on the connectivity as well. When we are trying to understand the different criteria which could equip or like for the purpose of the future passenger, demand, customer needs, long distance, climate change, and so on. Okay. So what are the main steps? The first step is the nodes of that core network. What are its length? What is its capacity? And how we can apply its CBA analysis, MCA analysis, multi-criteria decision analysis. And then we have the general equilibrium different models, and then system dynamic modeling. Okay. And what we would like to conclude. So we have different steps we need to understand. The first one is about the scenario forecast of the traffic development. So here we are trying to understand the structure data, forecast, total traffic, passenger and freight demand, and we need to determine the network capacity. So those four steps are included in that stage number one. And then we have now that how we can assess different methodologies. Okay. When we are trying to understand the assessment, so we should focus from EIA to SIA, environmental impact assessment or like risk assessment, and then special impact assessment. And then we have the urbanistic assessment as well. And we should also consider the other authorities as well. When we are trying to understand while checking the different transport network, so we should consider that where are the bottlenecks, where all those issues happen, network gaps, and then we have the optimization mechanism, and so on. And then the fourth part we have that how we can establish the project when it's kind of a worthy. So, and then fourth part we have the classification and priorities category here. So this one that about the funds, financial, investment. If you are taking a loan, what will be its return policy and expected outcome, outcome percentage. And then we should always involve the federal and state authorities so that we should resolve those cabinet and legislative parameters as well, because we cannot ignore them. When we try to understand the cost benefit ratio, so the benefit cost ratio, when we are trying to understand rail, so it is almost between 35 to 40%. It's a benefit cost ratio. So it gives us, from on the scale of 1 to 5, it usually gives us the indicator that we will achieve the expected outcome in terms of revenue. So its scale is on 2 to 3. So like 1 is poor and 5 is excellent and 3 is good. So like it means that we have always, because when we try to understand railway, so usually it is a very huge infrastructure cost. But when we try to understand roadways, so here you can see, so the 70% of those projects have the benefit cost ratio of of greater than 3%. So means, so like somehow we are trying to understand between 3 to 4%. So means very good. So we can return our amount from while building more roads and waterways. But of course, if you try to understand railways, so in the railways, its initial infrastructure cost is high, but in the future, operating cost per passenger or per freight is very much less as compared to roadways. So in terms of understanding, so we need to understand that what is your first priority project, second priority, and then international project. And then we need to understand what is your railway. So like, for example, if you try to understand, so this is our top priority project. So if it's a top priority project is recognized by the or identified by the state, so that one should be built at the very top level. And then this one is our second priority lines. Here you can see here. And then those are the international projects, which is constructing while connecting different, as you can see here, it's borders. Okay. So at a planner stage, we always need to understand that what is our existing project, what is our existing network capacity, and what is our top priority project should be. This is the another example from Bavaria, from Munich, Germany, from Bavaria, Germany, Deutschland. Is here. This one is shows us about the existing network, an ongoing plan project, and how and where we want to widen its lane, and what are our first projects, and what is our first kind of priority project where we want to do widening, and then second priority lines, and so on. Okay, here you can see here. So those are the kind of a messing links. We will try to understand the Hitler philosophy as well, because Hitler believed that if the one center is connected with different networks through different other centers, so this was his war strategy. So I think still in German transportation, still they are adopting the same type of a philosophy. Each and every center have the multi-connecting networks through road railways. This is that should be your investment plan for the transportation sector, because you should understand that what is your number of project, how much you want to spend on like rails, what kind of scheme do we have, and how much we have in the roadways. As most of the developing country, we don't have such type of a investment plan for the whole year because we never plan for the people. We try to use the people, the inhabitants, to use our planning. So this is we always usually have a lot of issues, but we can learn from those developed country practices, that how they assign its budget to the road, railways, and airport for each and every year, and how much they want to spend in the billions, and how much percentage of the share they would like to spend only to build road, railways in the different federal projects. Okay. If anyone is more interested, so those are the two links which you can read in a more detail. So this one is also in like English. Both of them is I would strongly recommend it to all the student to like have a read. That slide we already discussed. So now we will jump into the CBA. So when we try to understand CBA, so this is basically the total travel cost. Travel cost, what will be impact on the maintenance, means cost. Okay, we will try only on the benefit cost analysis. When you are trying to build any project at a cost X, so how much you want to spend on that and how much return you can get after several construction year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, and so what will be your percentage return of that specific part. So this is the purpose of cost benefit analysis. Okay, so when we try to understand, so we are trying to understand travel cost, maintenance cost, safety cost, accessibility cost, uh, the special impact. It also can be expressed in the monetary values, EIA damage, and then what kind of improvements we actually needed for the coastal facilities, and then how we can reduce traffic, and then how much total cost will be. Okay, so when we sum all those costs, so this is equal to cost X. So this cost X is equal to the total cost minus. So we are only interested in like return. So this is the way how we can get our percentage in the year wise. And then second part is about induced traffic, as maybe some of you are already aware of. We have the primary and secondary induced traffic, so which is playing its part in the shorter and longer term uh, traffic assessment in like development. And of course, in every state in the sustainability transportation. So we have the integrated transportation planning, which consists of all those elements: cost of noise, cost of accident, cost of emission, cost of private car, and the total travel cost. So we cannot forget about the intermodal. As you can see here, that how we can connect different parts together while using different type of a network, and how we can connect the intramodal. So with the change in traffic loads on the existing network, for example, if we take example of like that one, so how we can build another one, like provide different bypasses, or maybe from like that way. And then how the new projects and upgraded network element total cost would be. And you can see here we have different type of a special impact rule, starting from like point 1 to point 5. And point 1 is not very much significant, or we can call it poor, and this one is excellent. Okay. So usually if the project is between 3 to 4, so we usually recommend that project. But again, we need to analyze and assess the project. If it's a high priority and demand driven from the inhabitants and traveler, then if it's whatever it's result of SIA, so we actually we build that specific project. But if we have different alternative, so while after assessing and giving the grading to like different alternatives, if it's somewhere between 3 to 4, so we usually recommend that project. So, and then we have how we can combine environmental impact assessment and environmental risk assessment. We are trying to understand that what are its risks and how the different area impact could be like driven or like could be affected if it's affected very little, little, medium, high, or like very high. So different projects, they have different priorities. Okay. For every project, we actually use that specific flow chart to determine the environmental risk. Is you can see here, this is a one study did in Germany in order only to see that how much the its inhabitants are actually affecting from the CO2 emission, noise pollution, and the congestion effect. So if you see here, so that red area, that those parts are actually affecting a lot because we have here higher congestions and the level of emission is increasing. So this is the case study from the Magdeburg. Uh, This is the typical example that how we can forecast or we can start with the conceptual phase of any project. And then we reach to forecast phase and then appraisal phase, and then how we can prepare. And then the last phase is about decision phase. Okay. Because in Germany it's a bit complicated. So this is one typical timetable of like preparation. So if we compare the issues, the issues are like planning stages between underdeveloping country and like specifically Europe. In Europe, the project take a lot of documentation and planning time because when it's passed from and consider so many constraints, so the end is amazing. So under developing country, so where we usually construct the project in like hurry. So there is a saying that has to make waste. Okay, so whenever you build something in like so quick response without planning, you keep in mind we will always end in a disaster. As a transportation policy and strategic planner, it is highly recommended to consider all those important indicators and element for the success and the better utilization of the funds of the taxpayer people. If you have any question, you can get back in the comment section. Thank you very much. Reception